What's good, Illini Nation? It's your man in the middle, Deion Thomas. As always, bringing you nothing but the very best. And today is no different. We got this young man who is not just one of my favorite players, but one of my favorite people to ever don the orange and blue. They say that there's no talent that comes out of Central Illinois. I'm here to beg to differ because I watched this young man from his freshman year to his senior year. He wasn't, no, not from Chicago, not from Peoria. Probably still should have, was definitely highly sought and highly appreciated as he finished third in Mr. Illinois basketball voting his senior year, behind a couple of guys that you might remember, Jabari Parker and Jaleel Okafor. But he chose the right color. Unlike those two dudes, he wore the orange and blue. So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, say hello and welcome back the number 3 all-time scorer in the history of the University of Illinois, Mr. Malcolm Hill. What's going on, baby? How you doing?
I'm doing good, Deion. Good to be on here. I like the intro too.
Hey,
awesome.
I only call it the way I see it, Malcolm. I only call it the way I see it. This young man, Illini Nation, you watched him for 4 years. He not only talks smooth, but he plays smooth. And I enjoyed covering him during the time on the radio. And like I said, when I was at Lewis and Clark, which I know I wasn't going to get him, but I enjoyed watching him anyway. Malcolm, I guess my first thing, you hear that there's, the talent in Central Illinois, Southern Illinois doesn't really, match up to Peoria, Chicago. And again, as I said, I beg to differ on that because you, amongst others, are some highly talented guys to come out of that Central Illinois area. What was it like for you competing, not just in high school, but on the AAU level coming out of Central Illinois? Did you feel like you had to prove to people that, hey, we are here? I am not a joke.
Yeah, I guess it would be some type of similar feeling to that because I felt like I was playing well a lot before I kind of blew up on the AAU stage, but because not so many people are really familiar with my area, we weren't really known about, especially I play for my local AAU team, the Southwest Illinois Jets.
The Jets, baby.
Yeah, Jets repping all day, every day.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah, so when we had the opportunity to come across some teams from the Chicago area and things of that nature, a lot of teams, especially when we went up to Chicago and a lot of Indiana tournaments, like that was the time I kind of kept it in my head, like, okay, now's the time to show, like, kind of represent for the area, the 618, like, understanding that me along with a few other good players were some of the best to come out, kind of had that chip on our shoulder.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no doubt. And you played like it. I mean, not just at the high school level. Like I mentioned, I watched you because I was at Lewis and Clark at the time from your freshman year all the way through. So I saw you play all 4 years. And I watched the growth of you as a player. And not just physically, but mentally. You always had this smooth way about you. Again, people talk about development and players from the city and Peoria area, but I don't think people really understand how, as you mentioned, the 618, especially the Jets and other teams, because this is basically next to St. Louis. I mean, it's closer to St. Louis than it is from Chicago to Chicago. But you guys had some battles down in the area, man. The development of basketball in that area. I mean, you just come out. I mean, there's Bradley Beal, and there's a bunch of other guys that have come out that are now playing in the league like yourself that people just did not, they kind of flew under the radar. Would you agree with that or disagree with that?
Yeah, I would agree with that because a lot of the great players that come from St. Louis, they get the love on the Missouri end. As far as like us in the 618, even if we compete well against those guys there, they still bunch us with the Illinois guys. And most of the time we talk about I'm sorry about that.
That's all right. Do your thing.
When we talk about like the highly touted players in Illinois, we go straight to Chicago. So the 618, we're kind of stuck in like, a weird position for sure. Even like, it's funny too, because one of our most known people to make it and do well in the NBA is like Darius Miles. And even the St. Louis people try to claim him. It's like, dang, like trying to take our own people from us.
Well, I mean, what it's, and they exactly, and they do. And now I'll tell you this, because when I first, came down to Lewis and Clark, I actually thought Darius was from St. Louis
Right.
because that's what everybody would say. He played travel ball, he played AAU ball over there with those guys. So I thought he was from St. Louis as well. But I understand how portions of this area could steal players. I tell people all the time when I'm in Chicago, everybody think I'm from the south side of Chicago. Bro, I grew up on the west side. I went to high school. I went to high school on the south side, but I'm from the west side. So I get that feeling. But I'll tell you who did not miss on you. And this was really important. From an early age, Illinois and John Gross and that coaching staff was really high on you. I mean, and I remember sitting in the gym and again, not looking at you. I forgot who you guys were playing. Maybe you were playing East St. Louis or somebody. I can't remember who you were playing, but I was looking for at someone else on the other team. And I was sitting there and I was talking to coach and I was talking to other guys because they were there to see you. And they were like, Dion, you're going to really like this kid. I was like, I've been watching this kid since he was a freshman. Like, tell me something I don't know. But Illinois was always really high on you. Did you feel that love from the beginning from those guys?
I did. One of the things that my mom strongly noted to me when I was in the middle of my recruiting process on determining schools was the fact that Illinois always had somebody watching me every single game. I think that was my sophomore year. There was at least somebody from the coaching staff watching every single game that summer. No other college did that.
Yeah.
So I did feel that love. On top of the fans, like the fan support has always been huge. So sites and people talking about me, adding me on Twitter, stuff like that. Yeah, I for sure felt that.
No, and that was important. I mean, the state of Illinois, whether you're from the north or whether you're from southern Illinois, we love our players. I mean, there's a sense of loyalty to our players within this state that does not always get reflected back by the players. I mean, now during my era, it was rare that a player left the state to go somewhere else and play basketball. During your era, which was different because you grew up in the AAU era, where you guys were traveling all over the country. So it's a little different than when I was coming up because, we played within the state. I mean, we're going from Potawatomi Park up near Chicago. We're hitting tournaments down in, oh my gosh. Well, anyway, traveling throughout the state. It's a long time ago, Malcolm. I'm getting up there, man. Don't remember all those tournaments. But, so when you were playing and you started to blow up on AAU, say, like you mentioned, your mom, who is a lovely lady, as well as your dad. I love your dad, man. But as you were growing up, you were starting to blow up. Who were some of those top contenders that the light came on their heads, and they were like, "Oh my God, this kid is down here in Belleville, Illinois, killing." What were some of those other schools that were really chasing you?
Mizzou, Xavier, remember Kansas State, Oklahoma State, and a few others. And at the time, it was like a lot for me. I'm not sure I'm sure they did when you were getting recruited. The colleges would send you all those letters.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a lot, and it was new for me too. So I remember committing pretty early, and it was. Yeah, it was crazy because like we talked about earlier in the conversation, like not too many people knew about me, and it kind of just happened all at once.
Yeah.
So those are the few off the top of my head, along with a couple others that
Well,
I can
you
remember.
you took the next question right out of my mouth because you did recruit early. I mean, you did commit early, and I'll say I'm sure it surprised a few people. Surprised me that especially in your era, in that day and age, that someone would, hey, this is where I want to go. This is what I want to do, and this is where I'm going, and shutting out all the noise. What was it about Illinois and the staff that that made that you wanted to commit to them as early as you did?
I will say it's kind of like you kind of know it all before it even ends. I mean, just looking at how I came up in the state of Illinois, going to like Illinois camp all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fact that they were at every single one of my games, And then I had just a faith and confidence in the coaching staff that, they believed who I was as a player. And that's big for me because if you have confidence in me as a player, especially talking to the younger Malcolm, having confidence in me, I'd be able to give my full effort and potential because I knew for a fact that I was working hard no matter what school I was going to. It's
Right.
just I figured home state, family would be able to see me and I'd have the best opportunity to not only play but play to the best of my ability.
And play you did, young man, and play you did. I mean, you came in basically as a freshman and really found your, I'll say your niche. Wasn't of course your biggest scoring output, but even with that, you could see you started, I think it was like 12, 13 games or somewhere up in there, but you played in every game. And you didn't seem out of place at all. Was that a what gave you that comfort? You mentioned the confidence that was given to you from the coaching staff. Of course, being able to have your parents there helps. But what was it that really helped Malcolm as a freshman come in and learn his role? What I thought was pretty quickly and be comfortable in it.
I would say what helped out a lot was probably the dedication to the craft. I remember because in high school I didn't have a gym that I could always go into to shoot. So that was the first time I was able to have access with that. I was in the
Right.
gym all the time. And then it also helped that we had, I think, like 4 or 5 seniors. It was weird because we had like 5 seniors that year, and then there were like 5 of us freshmen. So I mean, we had no choice but to kind of grow up quick and kind of like figure our spot, figure our place. And then the coaching staff, they were college is a different beast. When you talk about hours of watching film, hours of watching film and practice,
Yep.
I'm like, man, but that helped me get me ready and right for what I needed to get ready to face in the Big Ten, especially my freshman year. So I think it was a it was a little bit of me working hard, working extra in the gym, and a lot of the seniors, my teammates, the coaching staff, just helping me fit right along.
Right, and you did that. One of the things when I came in as a freshman, and I always like to kind of draw a line between myself and whoever I'm talking to at times. Coming in as a freshman at the Big Ten level is difficult to say the least because you're learning on the fly, and like you said, you're learning under fire, not just on the fly. But a lot of help, at least when I came in, was from my upperclassmen. Who was that upperclassman or classmen's with an S that, helped young Malcolm to see what was needed on top of what you had already started to learn to help you move along as quickly as you did?
Yeah, I'll say Tracy, he played a big part in when I came in, even though he wasn't a senior yet, but he kind of had that voice for the team.
Yeah.
He played a big part in helping me. John Iki, he played a huge part because we played the same position.
Hmm.
Especially, I was going from being a guard to being a four-man for my first year, and so I learned a lot just watching him and us competing in practice. I also say Nana was a really big part in my development. He was a junior, but he also played a big part. Joseph Bertrand, someone who the coaching staff thought I could be in his position one day, watching him, seeing him do his thing, and then him helping me along my freshman year. So those players just off the top of my head that I can remember just my freshman year, like when things were like really, really tough. Because I mean, I'm sure you went through it. But that freshman year, man. That freshman year, man.
It ain't no joke. It ain't no joke. Because you're learning. You're learning. Everything is new, and you finished number three in Mr. Basketball, which means you were one of the best, absolute best players in the state. I was in that same boat. However, I do have to say I won Mr. Basketball. No, I'm
There
just
you
kidding.
go. There you go.
No, but you're coming in from being, the man on your high school team or your city to having to take a step back and not be that. And I thought for me that was a big learning curve from me to say, okay, well, you know what? Now I got to take a step back. I got to listen to people instead of being the one that people listen to. And I didn't struggle with it, but it was difficult. Was that something that you had to find how to handle, how to discover how to handle that for yourself?
Yeah, for sure. That probably started in the summertime when you had these summer workouts. You
Yep.
can get your first opportunity to get your feet wet with that stuff, and it was for sure an adjustment. Like you said, coming from being not even just from high school, most players, it's growing up their whole life being the man or being in that situation where like they're the best player or have that voice, that leadership. Now it's like the role is completely reversed. It's like you
Mhm.
have to learn how to play off the ball or learn how to be impactful without scoring a whole bunch of points or learning how to be a good follower, learning how to listen and then apply the stuff that you hear into the game, being able to be studious of the game, with the film, and then being able to execute what the coach asks. The coaches in high school don't really ask much compared to in college. They want you to hedge, they want you to drop, they want you to be able to make the extra pass. Like it's all types of different schemes that you have to learn and get adjusted to that freshman year. That freshman year builds character, man.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, I'm just
Yes, it
thinking
does.
back on it like, man, that was that was a lot.
But you know what though, and this is one of those things that sets special players apart. I believe special players come in and they do what you did, they do what I did. They listen, they learn, they take those lessons from the upperclassmen, from the coaches, and then they apply them. And then those that aren't successful don't. They continue to bang their heads up against the wall and try to do it the way they did it in high school, and not understanding that high school it was a game, college it's a business, and
Yeah.
it's totally different. You can be recruited over the whole nine. So I say that to say this: you took those lessons and did a great job. You went from averaging, say, like 4 points to averaging almost 15 points. That's a huge jump from a freshman year to your sophomore year. And I think a lot of that goes with taking away from those five upperclassmen and applying it to what you were learning as a freshman. What's your thought process on freshman to sophomore growth and your freshman to sophomore growth to be particular?
I would say my biggest thing was just having the mindset of continuing to grow and build because I didn't want to take the mindset of like, okay, I'll have more opportunity just because I'm a sophomore or
Mm,
just because I played a lot my first year. I still kept the same mindset of even when I was playing well and had my spurts of playing really well, I just kept the same mindset of just going to the gym. The extra amount of time I had, I'm in the gym, getting up extra shots, or just making sure that I'm on top of the little things still, because it's easy to slack off on the small details that coach asks for whenever you're playing well individually, but being able to still be a good follower and step into the role of a leader,
yeah.
that's kind of my mindset going into my sophomore year. And yeah, I was more comfortable and more aware of, the situation. After your freshman year, you're kind of familiar with everything. So I was comfortable and confident. And I was just continuing to try to build on that, not being satisfied.
Before we move on to the next topic, let me tell you guys a little bit about our partners over at Bet Rivers Sportsbook. If you haven't signed up yet with Bet Rivers, now's the time because they are offering a $250 match bonus for your first deposit. But what sets them apart is that they require just one playthrough to turn your bonus into cash money. With their new Rush Pay instant approval, withdrawing your winnings is safer, more secure, and more reliable. With basketball season in full swing, get in on the action by going to betrivers.com today or by downloading the BetRivers iOS app. You must be 21 years or older to play. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. So Malcolm, after having a very, very successful University of Illinois career, you went on to play. Well, first of all, let me say this. I was surprised that an NBA team did not um, give you the benefit of the doubt, man. I mean, you had a great career. I mean, no one ends at the University of Illinois as the number three scorer and have as many big games as you did and not really get an opportunity. I mean, I know they invited you to Portsmouth and things of that nature. How, one, tell me, how did that feel? And two, what was your thought process after that?
It wasn't the best feeling, you know, because I've always had the feeling of always being underappreciated for my talents, since in high school and even before that. So having experienced and gone through that, there were a lot of upsetting days, days of anxiety, just self-doubt, thinking like, dang, like I did all this stuff, like am I really good enough? Because if I was, I mean, I have some stuff to show for it.
Right.
But looking back on it now, it was good for me, especially with the journey that I went on. But at the time, it was tough. It was really tough.
I'm sure. I can't imagine how I would have dealt with that, but I thought you handled it well, personally. I was
Yeah.
shocked to hear that you ended up in the Philippines, because again, and this is probably that battle that you were dealing with. You tore up the Big Ten. I mean, everybody had you as one of the very best players in the Big Ten. I don't know, maybe the those NBA guys look at, all the flashy athleticism and, unfortunately in today's game, if you're a junior or a senior, they kind of look down on you, as if you're at your ceiling when you're still such a young player that has a lot of growth and development to do. Um, so I think that's where those NBA guys kind of missed the boat a little bit, and they look in and they bring in a lot of this young talent that's not seasoned, that hasn't been or done the things at the collegiate level that you have done, um, and then they miss out. But I thought you handled it extremely well. You took it and then you went on across the waters, made some money, got better, continued to work on your game. Like myself, you learn some other life experiences. You get to see some other parts of the world that you probably would not have seen, and this is one that I have not seen. So this is why my first question is going to come around to this. I have a lot of friends that are several friends that are Filipino. How is it? And they're always trying to tell me, well, Dion, you need to come to the Philippines. It's beautiful. It's this and this. What was your experience? Not just with basketball, but just being in the Philippines as a whole.
I loved it. Yeah, I'll be completely honest. You need to take a visit out in the Philippines when you get the opportunity. I loved it. Loved everything about it. The people there were super awesome. They were nice. Everybody spoke perfect English, like one of the best English that I've been to a lot of places overseas, a lot of countries, like they speak one of the best English. There's a lot of different things to do. Have like I was in this place, Manila. They have like the second biggest mall in Asia, so they had aquariums. They have some of the best islands in the world. Like, and they love basketball.
Yes.
They love, like, they can compete with us in America for how much they love basketball. I never really understood until going out there. I'm like, oh, they really take this serious.
Wow.
Like there was a time where my mom, she visited me. She loved it when she went, and they showed her like on the TV for like 2 seconds. This is Malcolm Hill's mom. She said she went to the mall and like people like were going up to her like, oh my gosh, like your Mama Hill, like all this other stuff, like crazy. Like she was a celebrity almost.
Oh, that's big time, man.
Yeah, the Philippines, I recommend anybody if they had the opportunity or the conveniency, go to the Philippines. You
Well,
would.
then I'm gonna have to take you up on that because, like I said, I got several friends that are always like, Dion, you need to go. You need to go. You would love it. Da, da, da. I mean, and they get excited when they talk about it. But it's so funny because to hear because people don't understand. People here in the United States don't understand how big basketball is when you leave outside of this country. Because you were there. Of course, you went to Germany after that. Well, Germany is a big soccer population, the way a lot of teams are. But in Germany as well, huge basketball fans. I mean, Germany was one of the. I've never played for a German team, but I loved when we would go to Germany.
Did you really?
Yes,
Yeah.
man. Yeah. We were in Berlin and in Bonn and in Hamburg.
The
And
big time cities
Come
too.
on, man. Loved it. Loved it.
Yeah, Germany is nice. Yeah, Germany is a lot like America in a lot of ways, and a lot
Yeah,
of different things to do. You said
that
what
it is.
city did you go to? You said Berlin.
We played Alba, Berlin.
Okay.
We also was up in Hamburg. We were in Bamberg. We were in where else did we go? We went to
Did you go to Frankfurt?
Frankfurt. Thank you. Yes, went to Frankfurt. So I mean, I loved Germany. As I tell you, I could have lived in Germany and would have been happy. And would
Yeah.
have been happy. Great place, great people. Had a lot of fun. Even made it to Oktoberfest one time.
Oh, you made it to Oktoberfest? Oh, that's awesome.
One of the biggest and best parties that I'd ever been in and been a part of in my life. Loved it. But then you landed in, I'm a citizen. I have dual citizenship in Israel. Loved it, every minute of it. What was your, how did you like it? I mean, let's just get straight to the point. What did you think about it? I mean, you played for a really good team over there. At one point, I know you guys beat Maccabi. I wasn't happy about it. I saw it, so wasn't real happy about it. But I was happy for you. Well, what was your experience in Israel? Because I tell people all the time, because you hear, oh well, it's so dangerous. It's this, it's that. I was like, man, Israel is one of the best places on this planet, and I loved every minute of it. I still love going there. And it's just an amazing place. And I don't know if you've had the same experiences. You and I have not had an opportunity to talk about this, but what was your experience in Israel?
My experience, I loved it. I loved everything about it. It was really nice weather. The country is small, so in America it takes forever to get somewhere.
Yep.
Compared to over there, you can get anywhere in about an hour.
Yep.
So that was awesome. The food was amazing. I love their food in Israel. That was great. They have a lot of beaches. So after practice is done early, you can head to the beach. This is like not an off day. Like you
Yep.
have practice and you're just relaxing, like on vacation.
Yeah. Yes.
So yeah, Israel was great. The basketball is good. The imports from every team. I'm not sure if it was like that when you were playing, but like we were all kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
So like, if we all seen each other out, like it was all love. So the league was great, competitive. The people were just as good, and yeah, people say that they say like it's dangerous or like, oh my gosh, you're going over there. Nah, I didn't have any fear at all, and I enjoyed it. It was great.
Did mom and dad get an opportunity to come over there and see you?
Nah, they didn't. Unfortunately, it was during the
Oh,
pandemic.
right after COVID hit. Because you and I talked about that. Because I told you, I was like, yeah, well, if you need anything, let me know. Because my family is over there. So I remember it was COVID. We couldn't travel. But yeah, my wife was actually stuck there at the time too. So go figure.
How long was she stuck for?
9 months, bro.
9 months?
Yeah.
Dang. Oh, they did shut down the borders, right? Oh,
Yeah.
so she could. Dang.
couldn't fly out of Tel Aviv and couldn't fly back here because we had shut down the airports here too. So there was like no air travel. So yeah, she was stuck there. But she tried to make it sound like it was, oh my God, it's so hard. I can't do this. I can't do that. Where you at? Oh, I'm on the beach with Ed. And I was like,
in the sand, right?
but she's struggling, right? She was struggling.
Right. I mean, that's not a bad place to be stuck.
No, no, not at all. Not at all. But all these times, now you played 1, 2, 3, what, 4 years, right? 4 years in Europe, 5 seasons,
4 or 5.
4 or 5 seasons.
Yeah.
How did you maintain one and hold on to that dream of coming back? Was that always something that stuck there in your mind, or were you like, you know what? Like I did. I was like, okay, I'm happy. I don't need the NBA. But I was like, I don't need it. And, you know, my agent be calling me, and I was like, nope, dude, I'm good. I'm good. I am all right. Did any of that possibly creep into your mind, or was it always a dream to get back and give the NBA an opportunity?
It's always been a goal to get back to it was always a goal to get back to the NBA. At the same time, it was tough sometimes holding on to that dream because you're overseas and you finally get some money in your pocket for the first time in your life. On top of the fact you're watching guys play in the NBA, and it's like, dang, like I really think I could be out there. Like I really feel like I should. You know,
Yeah.
it was tough. It was tough. It was tough on the end of not being comfortable with living the professional lifestyle, you know, kind of having that freedom financially and time wise to kind of do whatever you want. But at the same time, it was tough just holding on to the dream. Okay, still going to practice before and after, getting extra work, and just holding on to it, man. Just having it. And then on top of the fact I had injuries too, which made it even tougher. You know, me tearing my ACL, or even just this past year, I had broke my hand, so I was out for 3 months. But the past year, I kind of really sat down with myself, and this is just part of being overseas and in Europe. Just I told myself, okay, like I'm gonna make this a goal to be in the NBA, and I'm gonna do whatever it takes. I'm gonna change my whole daily habits and routines. Because as a kid, you kind of just used to just waking up and going hooping, and just if you're not hooping, just chilling. No,
Mm.
I started filling my time with things that I felt like I could be doing that could help me on and off the court. So I got into things like doing yoga, extra stretching, reading more, training my mind, my mentality, doing things like breath work, all types of things, just trying to do everything in my ability, in my control to help myself accomplish my goals on the court.
Man, that's good to hear because I don't think a lot of, no, I ain't gonna say I think, I know a lot of young players that come over, they never have that thought. They don't have that epiphany of putting things in place for after the game. You know, you mentioned something that has become very near and dear to me, which is one of the things I picked up when I was there. You know, reading. I picked up books and I learned. I was like, oh my God, this is actually enjoyable. So, you know, when you read so much in school, you're like, man, this is not fun. So I'm going to ask you this, because I try to read a book, and I'm not going to be like one of these people say, yeah, I read a book a month, because then I'd be lying. But I do try to pick up a book and try to read one within every quarter, you know, like in 4 months. So my current read is John Thompson. And if I'm going to tell you to pick up this book, John Thompson's life is great. So that's what I'm on now. What was something, give me a book that you read, and this is Illini Nation, make sure you pay attention to this if you're a reader. And I'm asking you this for me because I'm a reader. I want to pick up, you know, whatever you thought, something that you really thought was helpful for you while you were over there.
Yeah, so one of the biggest books that changed my life was How to Win and Influence Friends by Dale Carnegie. That was, yeah, I'm sure you read that one. That's like a,
Actually, I have not read it, but it is
oh,
on my wish list to read.
really? Yeah.
Yeah,
How to Win and Influence Friends. That book got me outside of being able to not only talk to basketball players, but talk to everybody and anybody.
hmm
And like being able to like build friendships from that. So that was a great book that just changed my mindset. And you know how like once you read one book, like your first time reading, once you read one book, you're like, man, I learned so much. Like, how much more is there to learn? Like, is this what I've been missing all this whole time?
yep.
So that was a good one. For the athletes out there, I read a book called Mind Gym.
Hmm, okay, I haven't
Yeah,
heard that one.
that one, it basically talked about how to mentally prepare yourself for games and how to be able to unlock that flow state or that state where, you know, we feel a rhythm about your work. It
Yeah,
teaches you how to kind of get into that mindset and also teaches you how, if you feel like you're in a slump or like things of that nature, how to get out of it. So that one helped me on the court a lot. And then for those athletes or people that are interested in like financial things, Rich Dad Poor Dad, that one, yeah, that one changed just my mindset and how I looked at money.
yeah,
You know, you're a young guy when you first get that first check, you wanna let everybody know you got the first check.
exactly.
You know, after reading that book, I'm like, okay, I'm, you know, start learning about investments and things like that. Be like, what am I really doing with this? You know, so instead of just, you know, we should all have fun every now and then. Of course,
Yeah.
I believe that, but just really planning out yourself, planning the seed for what your future self wants.
Well, I'll tell you this. That was one of the first books that I fell into, and like you, it changed my thinking. Because I was one of those that you say, yeah, you want to know what that you got some money. I am the poster child for what not to do when you get your first check. This is what you don't do. You know, you don't go and buy people shit. You don't go buy two cars when you don't even have a house. You, Malcolm did it all, man. I was like, oh my God. And then I had an older guy that I was playing with, Andre Turner was his name. And Andre was the one that introduced me to the Rich Dad Poor Dad book, amongst other things. And, you know, and the power, the beauty of having vets and people that have been there. And Andre became my mentor, and we weren't playing together at that time, but eventually we ended up playing together. But we would talk every time, like you said. You see guys out, you connect with them, and you know you really hang out with the guys. And I gravitated to people like Andre because he was always trying to help the young guys get and see and understand what they need to be doing instead of what they are doing. You know,
Yeah,
you might feel a bunch of guys like, yeah, this girl over here, this club over here, and Andre was like, dude, that's not what this is about.
focus on the wrong thing.
Exactly. So you pick up the three books. Those are your big three, to coin a phrase from today's basketball, which is really kind of, and we'll get back into basketball, but this topic I love, and I want to, you know, you and I have had conversations about life after basketball. But what you've started doing with real estate, man, and some of the other directions that you've flown in, I think are huge. And while you're doing your thing, make sure you're teaching some of these other folks that they need to be on, you know, pay it forward. Start talking to some of these other folks like, dude, stop spending your money like this, you know, and get to understand. Do you think that's a fair do you think that's the no, not do you think? Tell me about your journey to understanding. You mentioned the three books. And so tell me, where are you now? Because, and now I'm going to go back to the basketball thing, and then we'll move to that. Because right now you went to the G League. G League, you get the call up. You're playing, as I told you earlier, I loved watching you and Io on the floor together. I had some people send me a bunch of tweets with you two guarding each other, talking about Tua Line and I on the court. Loved it. What was your thought process um, when you were in the G League and then when you got the call up?
My thought process when I had first got to the G League was I felt like I was right there, right? And then, I had the mindset of, okay, I can think the game a lot better than a lot of these guys in the G League because I have the European experience and I understand that teams are looking for guys that can kind of do the simple things. So I wanted to really harpoon on being able to do the simple things really well and then expanding. So, for example, being a guy that will run to the corner every time or know how to be effective without the basketball in my hands. Because in college, all my highlights and most of my time, I had the basketball in my hands.
Yep.
Going overseas, they kind of tell you to simplify things and you're not the man. There's It's almost like from high school to college again, honestly.
Yep.
So that's the mindset I wanted to go, taking into the G League and then just winning. You know, before I got the call up, my team, we won 7 games in a row, and I understand that playing defense and being able to do all those little things, that will help the team win. It not only helps the team, but helps me individually, which ultimately ended up happening. Which, man, I'm just looking back on it because a lot of people from the outside, they see it and like think that things just happen, but there's so many days of just like doubt or like anxiety because it's like you're right there. You play a good game, important not to get too high. You play a bad game, you're like, dang, like you probably think it's over. Like it's just all it is your mind and your ego messing with you. But that's the big thing, just being able to stay balanced throughout that whole time, which ultimately, once I got the call up, it was awesome.
So tell me about that. You get the call. You're saying they said, "Hey, you got to report to Atlanta, or you got to report here. We need you here on this date." What's that like? Walk me through that. I get the call, and then this is where they're telling me I gotta be.
I'll tell you the story of it. I'll tell you the story how almost everybody knew I got called up before me. That's just the day and age we're living at with the internet because um I was asleep and everybody was like calling my phone. And then out of nowhere I heard the door banging. I'm like, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
It's the general manager and then my player development coach Perry, he's recording me. He's like, dude, congrats, like you got called to the Hawks. I was like, oh man. And I checked my phone and my agent was basically like, you have to make this flight in like 2-3 hours. Like you need to just pack everything and get out. So it happens quick. So I get flew out to the Hawks and we have one practice and the next day we have not even a practice, a shoot around, then we got a game.
Right.
So I mean, it happens fast. And then on top of the NBA schedule, you're playing in one city and just flying out to the next. Like I think I went to travel, I think 3 or 4 different cities within like 5 days.
There you go.
Yeah, it can be a lot. But throughout that whole time, I was just keeping the same mentality and
Mm-hmm.
just making sure I was staying ready because I didn't play the first 2 games. I didn't play the first 2 games, which is understandable. Then got through in for I think the last 2 minutes when I was in Madison Square Garden. And I played well, like played well as far as I was in my correct position on defense, things like that. Those 2 minutes turned into me getting the opportunity to play against Chicago the next game. And I got in late in like the third quarter, and those 2 minutes turned into 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It's because I was doing the right things off the ball. And then when we got to Chicago, that's when I guess he was like, okay, like he won't mess up too much. So we can give him a lot of playing time in this game. And that's when I had played really well, which was really cool in Chicago. My mom was able to come out to the game along with a
Good.
couple of people like in the home state playing against I like that was awesome. That's a pretty neat experience. I'm just looking back on it now. Like thinking, because even when I got there and I didn't play the first two games, I was like, man, like I don't know what to expect. Like, will I even get an opportunity? And then,
Right.
yeah, so being in the NBA is just, for my 10 days with the Hawks, it's just about staying ready and just, because you never know what your opportunity is going to look like. And
Right.
when an opportunity presents itself, like, how ready are you? So that was my experience with the Hawks.
But no, you talk about the 10 days with the Hawks. But you said something that I thought was perfectly put. There is being prepared when your name is called, and then there's not being prepared when your name is called. A lot of what could happen to you in the future could be because of the time when you played on that court in Chicago. You were prepped because you were in the right place at the right time the game before. How does that feel to know that everything could change possibly from that one instance when you were doing the right thing on the court? Because like I know, there are going to be GMs and coaches and everyone else that sees that from the 10 days when you were in Atlanta. The coaches are watching how you're interacting with the players, interacting with them. And as you mentioned, when you got on the court, you did your job, you were in the right place. And then, of course, that led to more minutes in Chicago. What if that, and then you played well, so you were ready then. The feeling or the thought process was, hey, I did this right. This could possibly lead to something else. Is that something that creeps through your mind, or do you keep it level and saying, hey, let me just make sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to do at this period of time?
I try to make sure whenever I'm in the moment, in every moment, whether that's even on the court, off the court, before the games, practice, like I make sure that I do everything right within my control in that moment. Because you just never know, man. Like the NBA is like everybody's always watching you all the time. And
Yep.
everybody knows everybody. It's kind of crazy. You hear it and you're like, okay, I've done experience. I'm like, wow, everybody really knows everybody. So just the way I conduct myself, and then it's a good feeling, because it's a good feeling knowing that it's tough, like having to earn people's trust, throughout the process, because you never know when you're gonna be put in the opportunity to prove someone's trust.
Right.
But slowly but surely getting awarded, and then just being ready, it's a good feeling, because a lot of times things are given to you. And
Yeah.
sometimes you don't really get to experience the joy out of something unless you've earned it.
Right.
And that made it made it worth it. It made the process worth it. And it also allows me to have a perspective of someone that, let's say I'm on a team and I'm doing well and someone's not playing. I can talk to that guy and I can let him know like the process, and you just never know what opportunity looks like. So it's an awesome feeling, and it feels good that, I experienced it and it kind of played itself out that way. Kind of happened fast, but I experienced it, and yeah, it feels good.
So what's the future look like for Malcolm Hill?
Man, get out of protocol. Get
Guess
out
that
of
would be first things first, right?
Man. The protocol, everybody in the league's been hit with it, but as soon as I get out, we'll see what's next. Um, as for right now, I'm assigned to my team that I was with in the G League, the Squadron. No,
Mm-hmm.
without them, I wouldn't. I've developed a lot as a basketball player, like the staff and everybody from the players, coaches, everybody. Like I developed a lot as a person and a player, being with the G League, being with the Squadron. So as of now, I'm assigned here, but you never know. As soon as I get out of protocol, teams will be allowed to sign me again. So we'll just see.
All right. Well, Malcolm, I always do this, and I like to give the last minute. No. Before we get to that, I know you're not just an Illini at heart, but you're a fan. Have you had an opportunity to keep an eye on the guys this year?
I've been watching like highlights and stuff. I just saw we got ranked 25. That was the most recent thing I saw with the team. But I'm not able to follow game by game, unfortunately.
Well,
But
yeah, you're busy, bro. You're busy.
I watched. I still follow the highlights. I watch the highlights, and one of my personal favorites to watch is Trent because I saw Trent. Our very last game, he was at like my very last game as an Illini. Like he was there, and I've always remember. I remember talking to him when he was a recruit, and now seeing him as like the 5th year older guy. I'm like, dang, like time flies fast.
Yes,
Like
it does. That's why I asked the question, because now I got what, 26, 27-year-old Malcolm.
oh man,
And here you are. You had me watching you when you were a freshman in high school. It does go fast. But the great thing that comes from what we do in this world that we live in, and you mentioned this with your G League team, you mentioned this with, being called up to the Hawks, is the relationships that you form during this time, during this game, and being able to really connect with people. Oh, I got one more before I give you the mic. I am a big fan of, and I knew this was going to happen. I'm drawing a brain fart. The guard in Atlanta, Trey.
Trey.
Tell me about him. You like him? How was that? How was being? Because that when he first, and I'm gonna be honest with you, when he was leaving Oklahoma, I was like, man, I was like, he can shoot it, he can handle it, but he's so small. I was like, I don't know how this is going to translate to the NBA. That little dude has been lights out. What's it like being around him? And then of course I covered Kevin Herter when he was at Maryland, of course, with the Big Ten Network and with Illinois radio. So I've always liked him as a player, but Trey is special. He's that guy on there. How is it being around him, being able to talk, if you were able to talk and hang out with him while they practice?
Yeah, he's a cool dude. You know, especially like someone in his situation when you're that young and you basically given the keys to the city and sign a big contract, you can go either way. But real cool dude, got to talk to. And on the court, like, yeah, he's like a wizard. I'm not gonna lie, because it's if he's able to hit his floater, you can't stop him.
True.
Because you got the lob threat, you go under, you can shoot the three, and then it's easy to play with him because if you're in the right position, like said, going to the deep corner and waiting for, he's gonna find you. Or if you make the right cut, he's gonna find you. He's a guy that can do a lot of things on the offensive end. So it was he's a cool dude to be around and talk to, but like it was awesome. Like it was cool seeing like in person like how he's able to work. Like
Yeah.
he's a wizard with the ball.
There you go. Hey, one more. This last one. I know I said that before, and I've said that a couple times actually. Going up and down, 10 days being in the G League, things of that nature. Again, I always talked about how you need someone that's older, or in this case, that may not be older, but have more NBA experience. Was there anything that those guys could give you or gave you to say, hey, this is what you need to do in order to make this happen for you? Or is this what you need to do to, one, stay sane and keep your work ethic going? Was there anything that was given to you, say by Trey or anyone else from the coaching staff on down that helps Malcolm heal through this process?
Yeah, I'll say one person in my Lance Stevenson. He always kept saying like, "Yo, stay ready, young fella," because we both got signed at the same time,
Yeah.
and he was playing and I wasn't, and just frequently he kept tapping me. He probably didn't even know, but he understands the nature of the business. He's like,
Right.
"Yo, stay ready." Every time he said it, I thought I was about to get ready to play, but I
He said,
understood like, yeah, I'm like, let me stay ready. But yeah, I'd appreciate those words. It was something very small and slight, maybe to him, but to me, because when I was ready and played well, I remember in the back of my head, like, yo, he was really like prepping me to like really be ready for this opportunity. So I will say that, Lance, He was always, he was just, it was very slight and subtle, but he was like, yo, just stay ready.
There you go. Well, stay ready on this one because the last minute is yours. I always like to give the last minute so you can address Illini Nation and the listeners of Champagne on Ice however you like. The microphone is yours, big fella.
Yeah, I mean, I just appreciate all the support from friends, family, Illini Nation. I also, me and Michael Finke, we came out with a blog site together. I actually just posted my first official blog today, so you guys can check that out. And
What
also,
is it?
it's called In the Know with Fink and Hill. The
Okay.
website is called finkandhill.com. Not Hill and Fink. I guess he made the website up, so his last name. Finkandhill.com. That's where you can find our blog site. And yeah, oh, for the book readers too. I'll add this in my minute. Another book that I thought changed my mindset as far as belief in myself is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
That is a good one.
Yeah, everybody that's listening has an unbelievable amount of untapped potential. We just have to become aware of it and know how to get it out of ourselves.
There you go, big fella. I'm going to tell you this. Stay ready. This world needs more Malcolm Hills, the Illini Nation. You're passing on at 27 now, right?
26. Oh, don't take 27. Not yet.
All right, not yet. Trust
Not
me.
yet.
At 26, dropping knowledge and dropping bombs. Well, Malcolm, I truly appreciate you coming on, man. Illini Nation loves you. We appreciate what you did. I'm going to speak for them. So thank you for coming on. Thank you for joining us. And young fella, make sure you stay ready.
I am. Thanks for having me, Dion. I appreciate you. Thank you for the love.
Nothing but love. So Illini Nation, we're going to sign off. And I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. I want to thank my producer, John Surratt. This is the first time I thanked him. I should have been thanking him the whole time. But Big John, thank you because you're going to earn your money on this one, brother. Illini Nation, we had a lot of technical difficulties today. So John got to get to work. And he's a master at what he does. But I want to thank the Field of 68 media broadcast for we will not have Champagne on Ice if it was not for those guys. They bring it to you. They have great content covering the 68 best programs in the country. So if you have an opportunity, like, follow, it's Field of 68 Media. And to my sponsor, excuse me. Oh, wow. Sorry about that. And to my sponsor, Bet Rivers Sportsbook. Appreciate you guys for the support, the love, and the sponsorship. So if anybody, if you're an online gambler, not my thing, but if that's your thing, check out Bet Rivers. They do a great job. They have a quick and easy process of how they do things. It makes it easier for those that want to go online and bet. But really appreciate Bet Rivers for partnering with Champagne on Ice for the year and making this possible. So for Illini Nation, it's your man, Dion Thomas. We're going to get out of here. Love, peace, and there.